In this short video, I am going to be talking through some of the key aims of our maths curriculum here at the Kite Academy Trust. With maths being a core subject, the national curriculum is prescriptive and detailed in the knowledge and skills pupils are expected to develop over the course of their primary education. The national curriculum for mathematics aims to ensure that all pupils become fluent in the fundamentals of mathematics, including through varied and frequent practice with increasingly complex problems over time, so that pupils develop conceptual understanding and the ability to recall and apply knowledge rapidly and accurately. To reason mathematically by following a line of inquiry, conjecturing relationships and generalizations, and developing an argument, justification, or proof using mathematical language. And to solve problems by applying their mathematics to a variety of routine and non-routine problems with increasing sophistication, including breaking down problems into a series of simpler steps and persevering in seeking solutions. Maths is an interconnected subject in which pupils need to be able to move fluently between representations of mathematical ideas. The programs of study are, by necessity, organised into apparently distinct domains, but pupils should make rich connections across mathematical ideas to develop fluency, mathematical reasoning, and competence in solving increasingly sophisticated problems. They should also apply their mathematical knowledge to science and other subjects. Within the Key Stage 1 programme of study, the areas of maths taught are the following: number, measurement, geometry, statistics. Within each area, there are a number of strands that are taught. For example, within the area of number in Key Stage 1, the following strands are taught: number and place value, addition and subtraction, multiplication and division, fractions. The principal focus of mathematics teaching in Key Stage 1 is to ensure that pupils develop confidence and mental fluency with whole numbers, counting and place value. This involves working with numerals, words, and the four operations, including practical resources, for example, concrete objects. Within the number and place value strand, pupils will begin by learning to recognise place value in numbers beyond 20 by reading, writing, counting, and comparing numbers up to 100, supported by objects and pictorial representations. As they move into Year 2, using materials and a range of representations, pupils will practice counting, reading, writing, and comparing numbers to at least 100 and solve a variety of related problems to develop fluency. Pupils will practice counting as reciting numbers and counting as enumerating objects, and counting in 2s, 5s, and 10s from different multiples to develop their recognition of patterns in the number system, for example, odd and even numbers, including through varied and frequent practice through increasingly complex questions. Pupils will be taught to read and spell mathematical vocabulary at a level consistent with their increasing word reading and spelling knowledge at Key Stage 1. So the principal focus of mathematics teaching in lower Key Stage 2, so Year 3 and 4, is to ensure that pupils become increasingly fluent with whole numbers and the four operations, including number facts and the concept of place value. This should ensure that pupils develop efficient written and mental methods and perform calculations accurately with increasingly large whole numbers. As the pupils move into Upper Key Stage 2, Years 5 and 6, they extend their understanding of the number system and place value to include larger integers. This should develop the connections that pupils make between multiplication and division with fractions, decimals, percentages, and ratio. In Year 6, this also includes two new areas of maths, ratio and proportion, and algebra, which build upon the foundations of other areas of the mathematics curriculum, including number. So if we look at the strands in number in Key Stage 2, you can see that while most of the areas are the same, there is explicit reference to the teaching of decimals and percentages. Pupils are taught throughout Year 4 that decimals and fractions are different ways of expressing numbers and proportions. Pupils' understanding of the number system and decimal place value is extended at this stage to tenths and then hundredths. This includes learning decimal notation and the language associated with it, including in the context of measurements. They're taught to make comparisons and order decimal amounts and quantities that are expressed to the same number of decimal places. In Year 5, pupils extend counting from Year 4 using decimals and fractions, including bridging zero, for example, on a number line. Pupils are taught to go beyond the measurement and money models of decimals, for example, by solving problems involving decimals. Pupils are taught to make connections between percentages, fractions and decimals. For example, 100% represents a whole quantity, and 1% is 1/100th, 50% is 50/100ths, 25% is 25/100ths, and relate this to the finding fractions of. The vehicle in which we use to teach the Maths National Curriculum is the White Rose Maths scheme. In the early years foundation stage, encompassing nursery and reception, the focus is on developing a strong grounding in number, which is essential so that pupils develop the necessary building blocks to excel mathematically. The three areas, number, numerical patterns and spatial reasoning, are listed in the early years foundation stage statutory framework. Within these areas, pupils will be taught to count confidently, develop a deep understanding of numbers to 10, the relationships between them, and the patterns within those numbers. By providing frequent and varied opportunities to build and apply this understanding, such as using manipulatives including small pebbles and tens frames for organising counting, pupils will develop a secure base of knowledge and vocabulary from which mastery of mathematics is built. In addition, the curriculum, again delivered through the vehicle of the White Rose Maths scheme, includes rich opportunities for children to develop their spatial reasoning skills across all areas of mathematics, including shape, space and measures. This will help pupils develop positive attitudes and interests in mathematics, look for patterns and relationships, spot connections, have a go, talk to adults and peers about what they notice, and not be afraid to make mistakes. Our pedagogical approach to teaching the statutory elements of the maths curriculum from nursery to Year 6 is centred on the mastery approach. We believe that mastery is expecting that all pupils are capable of understanding a concept. We believe that mastery is not expecting that all pupils are capable of understanding it in the same amount of time. So when defining mastery, we believe it is not solely the scheme of work, solely the use of mixed ability classes or pairings, or solely the use of concrete resources. All of these might be elements of a mastery curriculum in mathematics, but on their own do not constitute mastery. So during the lessons, our teachers follow a model of I, we, you. So in the I phase, the teacher is teaching following an instructional model. This means they are explicitly and metacognitively modelling the maths to the pupils via a worked example. The we stage is the handover. Here the pupils are playing an active part in solving the question. Think of this stage as a joint construction in that we are asking the pupils questions such as what is the next step, because they have been taught what the next step is in the I section. The U stage is the independent stage. This will be where the pupils are independently completing and solving problems based on the structures that have been explicitly modelled to them in the I section and the questions that they have been unpicking together in the we stage. The instructional model our teachers use for each new learning step can be seen here. Within a typical maths lesson, there may be two steps, which means this cycle will be repeated. We believe that pupils learn best through explicit modelling by the expert in the room. Throughout the we and you stages, our teachers are constantly assessing the pupils by using a range of formative assessment tools to check for understanding, both orally and through written tasks. By using a range of formative assessment tools, our teachers are able to identify which pupils may need more time or support on each learning step. Between the end of the lesson and the start of the next lesson the following day, the teachers will have the opportunity to spend up to 20 minutes with those pupils who need a little more time or support. By implementing this model, those pupils are able to access the following day's learning, which often builds on the previous day's learning due to the hierarchical nature of the subject. In summary, this model helps to prevent those gaps in learning from developing.